Good guys, Jazz here from Jazz Real Estate Eview Group, Point Cook. Hope you're well. This video is about rental providers and the new changes to the rental legislations. Let's talk about the changes that have come through on 25th of November and how do they affect you as a rental provider or a property owner who has got investment properties. Let's start with the number one factor. Now, the number one factor is about making sure that the rental providers are meeting their obligations towards the renters. That's where the Victorian government has tightened or perhaps added some more reforms into the Rental Legislation Act or RTA. From 25th of November 2025, there's a complete ban on no-fault eviction. Now, what it means is previously you could give a notice to vacate to the renters for different reasons, and sometimes there was one Act 91ZZD, which was end of fixed term, which is no more than 5 years, or 6 months or no more than 5 years, where you could give a no reason notice if it's a first tenancy for 90 days. So 90 days before the first tenancy is expiring for 12 months or less than 5 years, more than 6 months, you could give a no reason notice, which has completely been taken off from the vacate hub, and that is no longer applicable. What you have to do is you have to provide a specific reason. What it also means is that, let's say for an example, that if a rental provider issues a notice to vacate to the renter based on them selling the property or they're moving in, the property becomes non-compliant to be relet for up to 6 months unless the rental provider seeks permission from vacate. Now, there was a bit of confusion on that it was perhaps either renter's permission was needed. However, that's not the case. You could potentially go with vacate's hearing and get a permission if your situation has changed. If you do end up letting the property, and if you've given a notice to vacate to a renter and they've vacated the property, and you've now, instead of putting it on the market for sale or instead of moving in, you've rented that property again or advertised it for rent, if the renter finds out, they don't have to take you to vacate anymore. I mean, they can. However, you could potentially be facing some visits or perhaps an audit from Consumer Affairs Victoria, which also means that there would be a lot more stringent audits. There could potentially be fines for this misconduct as well. So plan ahead and ensure that you are taking the right steps and right measures. Now, the notices that were for 60 days, let's say notice to vacate based on rental provider selling the property or moving in was 60 days, it's extended to 90 days, and the same applies for rent increase as well. So rent increase notices used to be 60 days and 12 months. Once in 12 months you could do a rent review. Now you have to do it 90 days prior. Now, what it means is for us as an agency, we would be doing rent reviews and perhaps starting to work on that 4 months before, I should say. So that's one of the major changes as well. Some of the other changes which are 100% come in, and they are also related to minimum standards. Now, if the property was to go on the market for rental advertisement from 25th November onwards, 2025, you must ensure that your property meets minimum standards before it can be even advertised. So there are some heavy fines if the property does not meet minimum standards. Does not meet minimum standards. It's from deadlocks, deadbolts, your cords for the blinds must be in the hook, and all your appliances and property is sound and waterproof and weatherproof, and also at the same time it is structurally sound, and there's a few things in that list. The property must meet those criteria to be able to even advertise online as well. So be sure if your property is not compliant, then before you put the property in the market for rental, ensure that your property does meet minimum standards. Now, there's some rules to rooming house which doesn't apply to us because we don't do rooming houses, so I'll skip that part as well. Now, with rental providers having access to renters' personal information, there's some changes come through to that as well. Now, if you approve a renter, their personal information must be discarded or destroyed within 3 years after they have vacated the property, for an example. Now, there's a lot more information on that, and there's also information about if a rental provider has been sent a property application or rental application from a prospective renter and you've declined that application, you must destroy and remove their personal information. This is again from privacy and data breach point of view. So be sure that if your property management company is sending you application with the personal details, ensure that you are not keeping them on file. You are destroying that information. New minimum rental standards from 1st of December. There is all rental properties. This has become mandatory. COD is absolutely still part of minimum standards, but it's becoming a bit of a law there as well from 1st of December that the cords for the blinds must be in a hook. That is to avoid any strangulation of children. Now, 31st of March is going to introduce a bit more of changes as well. Now, the new form of rental application. So the Victorian government will be prescribing some rental application forms to make easier for the renters to apply for the properties. What they found probably from the feedback from the renters is that applying a property is a very lengthy process, and they have advised that there would only be minimum information, what is minimum requirement for any rental provider or property agent to assess the suitability of that renter. So there's a few changes coming up. I would be dropping in the link of these changes as well. If you have any questions about these changes, do let me know. I'm more than happy to have a chat and explain them in much more details as well. Thank you so much, guys, and I would love to be in touch, and absolutely we're here to look after and answer any questions for you as well. Before we sign off, I would like to let you know one more thing about the rental minimum standards. Please be sure that you are maintaining the property ongoing, especially with the mold. Ensure if there's mold in your property, you act on it fast. RDRV, which is a new dispute resolution body from the vacate, they are quite quick on jumping on these things. So ensure that your property is free from any dampness or mold. Be sure, be safe, and have a happy investment property and a happy investment.